Well, good night and welcome to this special Island Stat Sports Talk. I'm your host, Darrell Baston. Joining me is the senior men's national coach for football, Coach Michael Findlay. Coach, first of all, congratulations on advancing to the final round of the World Cup qualifiers. When you hear that, what does that mean for you personally?
Good to see you, or good to hear you, Earl. Thanks for having me on. I think it means to me a verification of my and the rest of the staff's plan for these players and for the senior men's national team. And you don't get very many opportunities like this when you're in football. I personally have had some when I was coaching Canada and in World Cup qualifying and Gold Cups with them in Grenada. But this seems to be a little bit extra special because it was a real project, and there was a lot of people involved in the project, and there was a lot of work, and there's still a lot of work to be done. But I think it's a sort of a verification of what we were trying to do is starting to provide results and bear fruit. And there's nothing more exciting than saying that you're in the final group of World Cup qualifying, and that's what dreams and great journeys are made of in sport. And now Bermuda and its national football team and its fan base and the association get to experience that in September, October, and November.
Yeah, I know I had put some questions to you after the game against Cayman Islands, and one of them was how do we get the boys ready for a night like tonight? And you laid out a plan. Now, once you arrive in Cuba, does things stay the same or do they change a little bit? Because there's always moving parts going on to anything before a football game, and your thoughts and how people are preparing and so forth. But what was your main goal set out for the team tonight, other than getting the
result? Yeah. Well, I mean, I think people have to understand and appreciate that international football is not an easy journey, and it's certainly even more difficult for smaller MAs like the Bermudian Football Association. Our players are scattered amongst the world, and they play domestically. They play in other countries, full time, part time. There's so many different types of players, and one of the main thing is to keep them all focusing on the core belief in the success for the team, because each of them have their own individual motivating factors of why they want to play international football. And so what we try to do is have them focus on that core and to bring stability. So it was keeping them, their eye on the prize, so to speak. And then the most important thing coming into somewhere like Cuba, which is even a more difficult scenario because of the conditions, both, weather, it was extremely hot here today. But also just, the infrastructure within Cuba, it's a struggle, and, we've been able to make sure that they were in the best possible conditions from accommodation and being fed properly. And as I've always said, one of the most important parts of any international football team is its medical staff. And because you try to create an opportunity that every player is available for selection. And you need to get players who can put back-to-back games together in an international window. And that's not easy given the conditions I just discussed. So you've got to take your hat off to Craig Brown and Kai and Julissa in the work that they did to make sure all our players are in the best possible physical condition. The tactical component of it was we felt we knew what Cuba was, and we weren't going to go off chasing it, and we were going to be strategic about what we did. I think that it was keeping them on tune with that thought process. They proved versus Honduras, even though they weren't successful in the results area, they were successful in applying a strategy that we laid out and had the discipline to do so. So we want to transfer that into tonight. But it was keeping them buoyant, safe, upbeat, and really for them to digest exactly what this opportunity is presenting them. This is elevating Bermudian football to a level where I think most Bermudians wish it to be and probably think it should be. So here you go. Let's get on the train and get going.
Yeah. One of the things that is most notable about sports in Bermuda is we get ourselves into a position, and then it's more mental than it is physical that we don't kind of get over that hurdle. How challenging has that been for you to convince this group of players that that hurdle is just another obstacle in the way, and we just need to get ourselves over it, around it, and through it?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, if I, after my first sort of rotation when I came in September 2023, after that Nations League encounter, we played in a game that was meaningful at the end against French Guiana. We're not successful, but what I did find in my review, along with talking with the rest of the technical staff and Kenny and JB and John, is that you are absolutely correct. We have a tendency to cannibalize ourselves. We have a tendency to not necessarily live at the level you need to live to be an international footballer. That's primarily in a high performance lifestyle. And that has a lot to do with confidence too. And it has a lot to do with them believing in that there is something better at the end of the day if they put the work in, but also put the extra pieces of that in. And that comes to the mentality. And we have always had different themes to all of our camps to try and focus them on that. And, one of them was back before we entered 2025 was all about mindset. What's your mindset? And when they came into 2025, we definitely saw a shift in the mindset. As I said, even though we weren't successful against Honduras in the Gold Cup semifinal, but the mindset was there to be able to compete for long periods of time against the 7th ranked country in CONCACAF under a very disciplined strategy and requirement. So we're seeing the shift, but it's not there yet. We have lots of work to do. We have lots of work to, not just as a team, but as individuals. We need more compliance to the things you need to do on a consistent basis if you want to stay in this family of football teams in CONCACAF.
Yeah. What was your message to the team after tonight's result?
We just met. I just came from there, and I explained to them that they've now entered a new level of accountability. If you want to celebrate and really, pat yourself on the back, you should do that because you have reached a really, really memorable point in your football career, being able to compete in round 3 and possible journey to a World Cup. But with that comes accountability. It comes with even more work, and if you want it, it's there for you. But also, I also told them that I'm extremely proud of them because, as I said, it's not easy, and I ask a lot of them, and we as a national team and staff and the BFA are trying to shift culture, and we're trying to establish, as I say, I use that word, high performance lifestyle. That's something that Kenny Thompson brought to the group when we were chatting what we want to do. So it became a bit of a buzzword. But we want our players, including our players that are below this age, those graduating 17s and 20s and U23s, we need you to push against us. And the way we do that is displaying the professionalism and the standards is required to be a recognized top 12 team in CONCACAF.
Yeah. We only have 3 months to get ready for the first lot of this next round of matches. We know quite a few of these young men will be back in the UK, and their season kind of gets underway just as this tournament will get underway, or just a month after this tournament's supposed to get underway. What's the importance over the next 3 months for the coaching staff of the national program?
It's important. We'll be right at it basically next week in terms of after every project, we do a debrief and look at the depth in our squad, look at ourselves, what have we done right? What have we done wrong? Look at what we've achieved tactically, what we've achieved physically, what we've achieved organizationally, because I can tell you that's one of those things we need to continue to look to improve upon is is the logistical and the organizational thing because it's difficult. So we'll do that. We'll be having a meeting with all of our long list of players here in the next 10 days or so, where we'll be discussing with them exactly what the calendar looks like and what they need to do and where they fit into our planning. JB will be taking a younger group away to the Island Games in July, which will have a couple of players that are in this squad. So we're going to get a look at them in some competition. And it'll also give those players an opportunity to display a possibility of joining the key player group. Because, we are moving into this third round, and we're also very excited about that. But we're also very excited about what it does foundationally for the future of the program. This is the time where we'll see younger players pushing in. We'll see some of the more veteran players potentially playing less of a role, but still being a very important role. So it's a balancing act for the staff to make sure that we make the best decisions in the short term for success, but also want to make sure we lay foundation and avoid the traps and the valleys of cycles. Lots of teams in CONCACAF do quite well, and then when their cycle stops, they stop and they drop, and then you got to pick them up. What we're trying to do is build this sort of transitional period where people are just repopulating the team as we move along into the next level of play.
Sure. And what does this do for your contract? I know. When it was announced that you was coming on, it was periods of contract. So what does this do for you contract wise?
Well, I talked to President Wade tonight, and I've asked for $10 million tomorrow morning, or I am leaving. No, I mean, contractually, I'm contracted to the BFA till August 2026. Okay. And it's not something I'm concerned about at this moment in time or even have a need to discuss. We have a project. We know what we have to do within that project, and I'm just committed to doing what I'm supposed to be doing within that capacity as the head coach of the national team, along with the other staff coaches for the group. So it's not really something that's on the discussion block at this point.
Yeah, I had a conversation with President Wade earlier myself. He needs $10 million for this next phase to get us.
I love that. That's the thing, eh? He's got crocodile arms now, right? He's gonna have trouble reaching his wallet. Yeah. I mean, it's success. Success does come with a price. There's no doubt about that. And but I'm, on that, all kidding aside, I mean, you should be very complimentary about the president and his board and what they're trying to do. You don't really get to see that very often because they're balancing the act of organized football within Bermuda. They're balancing the act of youth development football and coaching development, and also their national teams on both genders. It's not an easy thing to do when you're a smaller MA. So I think there needs to be applause and there needs to be a real sort of thanking of the processes that are in place, and I'm glad we've been able to deliver on what he saw as the vision, and that's why he appointed me, and I'm glad I'm able to deliver on what he was hoping to have happen for this national team and the fans of Bermudan football.
Sure. Now, for people that are heavily involved in football, this next phase is a tall order. One we can accomplish, but it's a tall order. What is your message to the fans of Bermuda, to stand on the sides of Bermuda football? What is your message to those people to help, close the gap and give these guys some confidence that together we can achieve?
Yeah. I mean, we've always had great support at our games, and a very passionate group of people. Bermudians, since I've come on board, have displayed a real interest in football, passion for it. They set a very high standard. At times, I think they can be a little bit unfair in the public domain, but that's sport, that's football. You live with it. But what I'd say to them is these guys talked here about the importance of representing their country and delivering to the fans. That was a very important part of what they were trying to do. And I think all the fans can do is continue to support this team. And what I'd love to see come September, October, November, when our home matches are there, is sell that stadium out. Bring your kids, bring anybody you can, because they're going to see some history, and maybe that will be, the marker for them to have that vision and that idea that they want to play for the national team one day. So there's nothing better than a full crowd for players to play at the highest level. And so I love the support we get. The players love the support that they get. And I would say, let's just have more of it.
Yeah. Well, Coach, again, job well done this evening. Job well done over this process. We look forward to bigger and better things in the coming months, because obviously, as I've already indicated, it's going to be a tall order, but one we can achieve if we go as a whole unit, as a whole country.
Absolutely. And, there's lots of stories out there about journeys that go to World Cups and Gold Cups. And there's, I've always said about lotteries, people, oh, you'll never win it. Well, you know what? You got to buy a ticket to win it, right? So everyone is playing the same game here. We're all playing on the same pitch, same size, same ball, 11v11. Funnier things have happened. And if you don't have a vision and a dream, what's the point of participating? And so I think this group has it. They see it, and they're going to enjoy it. And I think they're really going to see it as something that is important to them as men, and how they lead their families and all their teammates and other people in the process. So let's all enjoy it.
Yes, indeed. Well, Coach, safe journey home, and we'll talk to you as we get into the talks with the players and so forth, and how we plan to move forward. So again,
you betcha.
Congratulations.
Great.
Good night.
Great to talk to you, Earl. Be well. Talk soon. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.